We're going to take a look at two practice problems where we give you 2 points and we want to determine what the linear equation is. So essentially solve for the slope and solve for the y-intercept. Okay, so here we have point 1, x equals 2, y equals -5. And here we have point 2, x is -4, y is 7. So usually I would solve for the slope first. And if we remember, a slope is defined as rise over run. Main thing to recognize is rise is your vertical direction, right? So y2 minus y1. And run is your horizontal direction, right, in the x direction, x2 minus x1. Main thing to watch out for is your sign, right? Make sure if you say y2 minus y1, then you say x2 minus x1. And it really doesn't matter which point you define as point 1 or point 2. You have to just be consistent, right? If you want to rewrite this and say y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, that's fine. The signs will take care of themselves if you're consistent there. Okay, so we just need to plug in our values into our equation. So y2 is 7 minus y1 is -5. And then x2 is -4 and x1 is 2. So 7 minus -5, that's +12, over -4 minus 2, that's -6. So 12 over -6, that gives me -2. The slope looks negative. You can see just by where the points are relative to each other. So that's a good way to check that um, your sign is correct. Usually I think in my head, what's a slope of +1? What's a slope of -1? And what my slope is relative to those, basically an X that you can draw on the grid, can help you at least sanity check to think if your slope makes sense. Next, we need to solve for the y-intercept. That's this b term here. So multiple ways you can solve it. To me, the easiest way to do it is just rewrite this equation in this form. I can rewrite it as b is equal to y minus mx. Now, your slope is going to be true, it's going to be constant, and your y-intercept is going to be constant for that specific line, right? So you could plug in 0.1 or you can plug in 0.2, it doesn't matter. So I chose to plug in 0.2, so I'm going to plug in x2 for x and y2 for y, right? You can test it and use 0.1 as well. That will give you the same solution. So if I plug in my values to this equation, which is just rewritten form of the general linear equation, I get y2, which is 7, minus slope, which I found was -2, times x2, which is -4. So 7 minus the product -2 times -4, which is 8. So 7 minus 8, that gives me -1. And looking at where my line's going to go, it's going to have the y-intercept somewhere in the negative value, so that makes sense. So my equation is -2x, because my slope is -2, minus 1, since my y-intercept is -1. And if I draw my line, we can see the y-intercept is hitting at -1. You can always check your slope, right? If you start at this point, you rise 2, and you move to the left, or you go -1, right? So that does match up. Let's take a look at another example problem. Here we have a point -3, -10, and a second point 7 and -5. So click pause real quick and see if you can solve for the line that defines these, that has these 2 points using the same method. All right. So the process is solving for the slope first. So y2 minus y1, that's -5 minus -10. Over x2 minus x1, 7 minus -3. So this numerator, I have -5 minus -10, or 10 minus 5 is 5, divided by 7 minus -3, or 7 plus 3, which is 10. So 5 over 10 will give me 1/2. Okay, now that I have my slope, I can rewrite the linear equation in this form to solve for my y-intercept b. So again, I can plug in 0.1 or plug 0.2, doesn't matter. I chose 0.2 again. So y2 is -5 minus the slope, 1/2, times x2, which is 7. So minus 5 minus 7 times 1/2, or 3/2. So I get minus 8.5. So I'll plug that into my equation. I have my slope 0.5x minus 8.5. And we have that here. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, that's -8. So in between -8 and -9 is where we cross the y-intercept. So it matches my y-intercept. And then it says that my slope is 0.5. So I can check, let's say at this point, I go, the rise go down 1, and the run is 2, 1, 2. All right, or you can think of it as you rise up 1 and you go to the right 2. So 1 over 2, or -1 over -2, whichever way you want to look at it. So pretty systematic way to solve for these. Solve for the slope first, rewrite the equation, and plug in your slope and one of the points to solve for your y-intercept. We'll do a couple more problems in future videos to get you some more practice.